Welcome back to The Dive. Today, I want to talk about a subject that has really um, allowed me to move my life along. And it's one of those elements of life and living and expansion that we hear about a lot, but really takes a lot of intention and difficulty to embody, um, to utilize as a force for um, for journeying forward versus um, staying back, holding ourselves back, looking in the rear view. Um, I've talked about this subject before, but I wanted to bring it back up again, especially because in the last 6 months, I have had to practice. I've had to embody this in order to um, stave off tons of sadness, stave off tons of stagnation, stave off um, tons of anger. And that element is forgiveness. What I've learned about forgiveness is that it is essential. And it's essential because it is an element of momentum that we can use when we have been so deeply hurt, that we're so angry at the people that we once loved, at the people that we thought cared for us, respected us, thought knew us. And often that hurt and that disappointment and that disgust turns into anger. And that anger then becomes this seed inside of us. And we tend to hold on to it and let it grow. And it grows and grows and grows. And we think about the person that if I see this person again, I will say this, or we start wishing ill upon the person. And what happens very quickly is that we spend a lot of time focused on this other person and not on the fact that an energy has grabbed us and is now feeding off of us, is now really sponging off of our creativity, off of our capacity to love, off of our adventurous side, off of our curiosity, out of our desire for connectedness. And what forgiveness is, it's a key. It's not a key to alleviating the hurt and pain, because that moves on its own. It is a key that allows us to not be bound by the hurt and the pain, to not spend our days wishing that this person or these people get what's coming to them, not spending our days wondering about what it is about us that allowed these people that we love to hurt us. Forgiveness is a releasing for us. And often, if you have a religious background or spiritual background, you may hear, forgive your brother, right? That's from, Christian scripture. And not just Christian scripture, but forgive your brother. How many times? 99 times. And on the surface, that concept looks like it's about that person who has hurt you, who has wronged you. But really, the scripture is calling us to release ourselves from the binding of that disappointment, that disgust, that anger, that actually keeps us constricted, that actually limits our movement, that actually keeps us so um, so stuck in the mud and mire that it sometimes feels like it's hard to go on. Um, I mentioned the last 6 months because I went through a very challenging separation with my business partner, who used to be my ex-husband. Um, and it was difficult because I felt left holding a lot of the cards, and I was angry, and that anger literally just made me absolutely tired all the time. It made me frantic all the time. It made me, uh, for a little part, wish ill upon him, um, and to say things that sounded so, spiritual and academic, like, karma's a bitch and karma will come back. And those things, maybe they will, maybe it will, but that's not for me to determine. And the more I held this energy towards him, the harder it became to work, to show up in any type of relationship. The harder it became to connect with people. The harder it became to uh, do my schoolwork. The harder it became to really want to um, move toward, right, the expansive nature which I've always felt has been instilled in me. And what I had to do was embody forgiveness. And again, forgiveness does not mean forgetting, right? We don't forget the harm and the hurts and the disappointments. Um, and it's not like we don't feel them. You know, that moves again on its own. But what embodying forgiveness is about, um, it is my allowing myself to move on, my allowing myself to work in and operate in and love with and connect with all the resources that I've always had, despite that hurt and that disappointment from the other person, despite the way that my dreams may have been impacted, despite the way that ideals were now essentially ruined. Forgiveness allows me to move. It allows me freedom. It opens the gate, or reopens the gate, to what some people might call, being called, but to allow me to continue to journey towards the meaningful life that I want to have, with my own agency, with my own choices, and honoring my feelings. That I was sad of the rupture of this relationship. I was sad of the picture I had in my mind of how our business would look in 10 years. And maybe it will still look like that. It'll be different. I had to unlock myself. And that's what forgiveness is about. Unlocking ourselves after hurts and disappointments, after traumas, after failed relationships, after job firings, after being scammed, whatever that means. I needed to unlock myself. And each day, the process of forgiveness allows me a little bit more freedom, a little bit more room to run, a little bit more room to love, a little bit more room to be creative, to be goofy, to take care of myself, to love myself.